What's going on, guys? Welcome to the show. Welcome back. It's 2018. Action Movie Anatomy is back. We're so excited. I screwed up the first intro of the year to talk to you guys about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I can't wait. I loved this movie. I can't believe that it has a 50% audience score. What the hell's the matter with people? We want to know what's wrong with you. We're going to talk to you about it right now.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Action Movie Anatomy.
Boom! Oh my gosh, where's the song?
Where's the music?
We didn't do it. Oh, it just seems right. We're changing everything.
We're changing everything.
It's 2018. The show is very different.
We're back. It's 2018. Action Movie Anatomy's back. Up in the booth, forgetting to cue the music, is the originator, the EP of the network, the guy that created the show with us, Mr. Stephen
Lemieux.
Yeah, totally didn't have anything for music here.
Fault. Yeah,
My bad.
Fault. We're so used to Marissa engineering the show that we
forgot.
We forgot.
It's all good, but that's a good opportunity for us to give you the credit you deserve, which is that you created this show with us.
Yep, there it is. That's the music we use.
That's the Last Jedi. Oh, I just turned it off.
Yeah, Steven's up there. 125 episodes later, he helped.
I made that number up. I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, it's got to be around there.
But anyway, guys, this is Action Movie Anatomy. We talk action movies on the show here on the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network dedicated to talking movies, pop culture, and doing it by the bucketful. We're in the danger zone. I'm Ben Bateman. You guys can find me at Ben Bateman Media, Twitter, Instagram, what have you. It was an exciting end of the year. Andrew, where can the folks find you?
Hey guys, you can find me everywhere online at Andrew Ghai, and yeah, Twitter numbers are growing for me.
That's exciting.
Yeah, there was some schmodown things that happened. I physically assaulted someone on camera.
Your father.
My father, actually. So, anyways, guys, I'm really excited to talk about The Last Jedi because, oh my God, can we kill this music? Because what a controversial film. Although I know that you and myself and Steven actually all enjoyed this movie.
A lot of people did. All the critics did, apparently.
Yeah, all 92% of them.
Yeah. So we're going to talk all about The Last Jedi. I do want to just throw a couple quick last shout-outs before we get fully into the episode. And that is that we also have a Twitter, which is at AMA Podcast. Yep. The show does. And then finally, there's a Facebook group. There's one for Team Action, which is our personas and the Team Action, part of the Schmodown.
Nothing like that in real life.
But there's also the main one, which is the one that we use for this show, which is the Action Movie Anatomy fan page, created by a couple loyal fans who have been very committed to the show for years, and happy to be back to hang with you guys for this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And to all those fans and all the great things that you guys wrote about the show and the new year, and we're excited. We're very excited to be back. We've got some new things. I know we always say we have new things, but we actually do have new things that we're going to be talking about. We're not going to bring them up today, but things to look for in the horizon.
Yeah, course of the next few months, a couple teasers, and apologize for the preamble, guys, but it's exciting to start another year doing the show.
We missed you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The first one is that you mentioned these things that you guys were writing online. I want to point out to all you guys that a lot of you shared that this show has helped you get through hard times in your life. A lot of you have talked about that you were going through a tough time at one time or another, and that coming back to this every week and kind of hanging with us means a lot to you. You guys don't know how much it means to us to have the same experience, to have that feedback from you guys, to know that you're kind of in there with us, and that we feel like you're our friends. We get to hang out with you guys because you know our sensibilities. We crack the same jokes. And a lot of you we've been interacting with for literally years of our life.
Yeah, you love the same movies that we do. And honestly, you guys coming back week in and week out, it's the same for Ben and I to have to throw on a suit, or not have to, but enjoy to throw on a suit. The privilege to throw on a suit and come here and talk to you guys about the movies that we love. It's kind of a reset for us as well. So it helps you, it helps us all the same. So without further ado, let's talk about what we're here to talk about.
Yes, let's talk about The Last Jedi. So, guys, we cover action movies on the show. And does The Last Jedi fit the 4 rules of action movie anatomy? Number 1,
no.
The hero always plays by their own rules.
Who's the hero? Daisy?
Yeah, she's got to be the hero.
Yeah.
I guess, Poe is really the guy that, he's your action movie hero. He's the guy that plays by his own rules.
Yep.
She sort of does, but she's also trying to figure it out as she goes. So, I'd say no. The hero and the villain are always the smartest people in the room. Snoke gets killed, spoiler alert, so he's not really the smartest. Kylo isn't, he gets outsmarted by Luke. She's kind of smart, but it feels like Luke is kind of in the end the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, and he's not really the hero because Kylo outsmarts Snoke, and so far 0 of 2.
Rule number 3: the movie is driven by a police, military, political, or mercenary figure. She's definitely none of those things.
Poe is a
He's military.
He's military.
Yeah,
There's a half point.
kind of a little bit.
There's an explosion.
There is a lot of explosions.
There's a big explosion.
Yeah.
There's so many explosions that I think that makes up for the first 3 misses. So we're going to do what we normally do on this show. Actually, let's talk about the segments, and then we'll jump into the trailer.
Yes, we're so off base today.
I know. Well, it's been so long,
been
and
weeks.
it's going to be a little bit different because, as you and I were talking about with this movie, the production and the numbers, the money, who's behind it, you guys probably know just as much about it as we do.
Yeah, it's been talked about at length. So
We will talk about it some, but we're going to be changing it up a little bit today and talking more about just this movie and the reception and kind of our AMA questions and speculation moving forward.
So coming up today on the show, we are going to be pitching where we believe the Star Wars franchise will be 5 years from now, in 90 seconds or less. We are going to be talking about mega blockbusters and the 25 highest grossing films worldwide of all time. How many are actually good movies?
Yeah.
And finally, we will be answering some of your AMA questions, as well as talking about all the fun things you've come to know and love in the show, like fist pump moment and favorite lines. We are going to be cueing the trailer in just a minute here. I want to make sure we have that queued up as we are first back for the new year, and we haven't worked with Steven in a long time. We actually forgot to give him any of the outline materials.
Yeah, because Marissa just is on top of it
Yes.
every single week. I liked this trailer, but I also think I was just so excited.
The trailer was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great trailer.
Yeah, but not as good as the trailer for Force Awakens.
It's been an awakening.
Yeah, the first one's sweet.
When I found you, I saw raw, untamed power.
Yeah, Snoke is sweet.
And beyond that,
So ugly.
It's Andy Serkis, right?
something truly
The
special.
voice? I think the makeup is someone else, right?
The voice is Andy Serkis, yes.
Yeah. It is Caesar.
Just the best ever.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake. And I need help.
I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now.
They ruined that line in the movie, by the way.
That one
Because he says that's raw power before in Ben Solo. And it's way cooler when he doesn't say his name.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Because then you just assume it's Vader, in my
Yeah.
mind.
Meant to be.
Which is probably why they have him say it. Yeah. That's exciting.
Spark
Adorable.
that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
Every explosion just looks so badass.
Yeah. Everything looks badass. That's one thing about Rian Johnson is he knows how to make something beautiful.
This movie is freaking gorgeous.
Yeah. The salt planet, everything. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
It's time for the Jedi to end. All right, here we are. We're back. It's Action Movie Anatomy. We're talking The Last Jedi.
We are, and I'm amped. That trailer is sweet.
Yeah.
There's so many good moments in this.
I think this movie is sweet, and the trailer got me more excited than I
Yeah.
even was when we started the episode, because this movie was great, and people are stupid.
That's exactly how I feel.
Nah, I'm just kidding. If you didn't like the movie, you're not stupid. My brother, like my older brother, who
My
taught
brother's
me
stupid.
everything about movies, he hated this movie. Half the people I know hated this movie.
Our best friends,
Yeah.
who have both been on the show, Matt Haggerty and Jason Sparich,
Yeah.
hated this movie.
Yeah.
Matt picked me up from the airport,
Yeah.
and like we started talking about it, and I
Yeah.
thought it was gonna be a conversation. Matt's a
Yeah.
really chill, level-headed dude, and if you've watched the episodes that he's been on here, he's a pretty quiet guy.
Yeah, right.
He was like irate, like yelling at me for
And
like
he works
5 minutes.
It should be noted, he works on the biggest movies in the world.
He's
In
literally
the
been
world.
gone for a year filming Infinity Wars.
Yeah.
They're just wrapping. They're doing reshoots right now. He's almost home.
Yeah.
He hated this movie.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's very polarizing. Probably the most polarizing movie we've ever done on the show. This honestly might be the most polarizing movie ever made. If you really think about it, there's a movie of this
There
level.
goes my thesis. No, I'm joking.
A movie of this level to have cost this much money and made this much money.
To be loved by critics, but despised by the people it was made for.
Having a 41% disparity between audience and top critic.
It's never been done on this show that I can think of.
There's no movie. I mean, we're going to talk about the top 25 highest grossing films of all time later in the show. But
Yeah.
of those movies, I'm just guessing. I don't think anything's even within 20% of that. I think it's unheard of.
Yeah, I'm curious what the numbers are for Avatar, but I bet it's not even close. Maybe 20%. So, without further ado, we are going to hop into our thesis. What?
Yeah, go ahead. Thesis statement. I want to know your thesis.
Why are you pointing at me?
Yeah.
Our thesis statement, this is a bold thought about the film. It should be something based in hyperbole. Not like my favorite this, or this was cool when this. It should be the greatest this. The moment, like, this defines X's career. This is the greatest moment in Star Wars history, period.
It's almost like if you're at a party and the movie comes up, what you want to say to someone is, this is what I think about the movie. It's the most important thing about the movie, and I'm going to stand here and defend it until the end of the earth. It's a fact. That should be your opinion.
And mine is a little harsh.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that Star Wars fans are the most ungrateful fans to walk this planet. Over DC, over Marvel, over Game of Thrones,
Harry
over
Potter.
Star Trek, over Harry Potter, over Lord of the Rings, over everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking everything. And the reason I say this is because...
Of the petition?
What's the... Oh, yeah, the petition, and then... So we were talking about this right before the show. We were talking
Yeah.
about Inner Geekdom and the Schmodown. For you guys that don't know, it's a movie trivia show, and Inner Geekdom covers only nerd culture films.
Yeah.
And Star Wars is pretty much the biggest part of it.
Yep.
Even for something like that...
Yeah.
The people that are fans of that in that realm of the Schmodown think that that's the best belt that represents everything.
Yeah.
That's the weight that everyone carries Star Wars at. So 40 years later from when the first movie comes out, you're getting the 8th installment ever. And it's great. It's $200 million. It's got the biggest stars in the world. It's beautiful to watch. It's loved by critics. It's loved by people that are just wanting a good Star Wars movie. But for the people that are the fans, the true Star Wars fans out there, those are the people that are giving it the 50%. Those are the people that are bringing it down 40 points deficit from the top critics. And it's because they don't know what they want. They truly don't know what they want, because if they knew what they wanted, they would like this film.
Yeah.
Because the thing that audiences keep telling us time and time again is that they don't know what they want. Because if they had a movie that just described everything perfectly and it followed all the rules of Star Wars, it wouldn't be giving us anything new.
Yeah.
It'd be giving us something that was 40 years old. It'd be regurgitated. And remember when The Force Awakens comes out, how many people were up in arms about it just being A New Hope again?
Yeah.
And now everyone's up in arms that this is all new?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want?
Yeah, people don't know.
So I just truly believe... I'm so mad. I just truly believe that Star Wars fans are the most ungrateful, because I walked out of that and I tweeted immediately. Star Wars is magnificent and beautiful.
Well, I think the reason you're so mad is because you felt you truthfully loved this movie, and
And
the
I wasn't
audience reaction has made you feel stupid for liking it as much as you did.
Exactly. And the last, thank you. And the last movie that made me feel that way was Crash in 2006, a movie that like basically won best picture.
Yeah.
And then people loved it. And then all of a sudden everyone was like, if you like Crash, you're an idiot and you don't understand things. And I'm like, good, because I always hated it.
You're basically Channing Tatum at the beginning of 21 Jump Street. What he says, think about the car. Like,
Yeah,
you're an
exactly.
idiot, bro. And you're like, what?
Yeah, you're a nerd. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm excited to go and read all the chat has been blowing up in the live chat as you've been as I've been talking, so I've been able to read it. But like, look, guys, you guys are getting 40 years, 8 films, billions and millions and billions and millions of dollars. Just be appreciative.
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
Totally agree. Here is my thesis statement about The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is the best Star Wars movie we are going to get until Star Wars takes a year off. Period. So let me clarify exactly what I mean here. And this is going to curtail nicely into our next segment we're going to do. And we're going to cover this before we get into Fist Pump, because it's inspired by my thesis statement.
Oh, and really quickly, someone is talking about how the fans are the ones that kept this alive. No, I'm sorry, guys. The
What, Star
fans
Wars?
did not keep Star Wars alive. Like, they did and they didn't. It would have come back no matter what. After those movies that happened in the early 2000s, it was always going to come back.
It was, I mean, look, we'll get to this when we get into mega blockbusters, but the brand name Star Wars, the financial return that it represents for them to make a movie, even if it's just literally a picture of a turd that doesn't move with no sound for 2 hours and a half, and it's called Star Wars, it would make $1 billion.
Yes. And this is the thing, is that if you think there's never going to be another Batman movie, you're wrong. Even if people all of a sudden don't like Batman because of Ben Affleck, in 10 years there will be more Batman movies.
It's just like it's hard to completely wrap our heads around it, because like it feels like these movies, these franchise movies like this they cost so much and they make so much money, they're these incredibly important touchstone moments of our culture. But really, at the end of the day, what they really represent is the biggest financial windfall the studio can have, because they have the most expectation attached to them. This is why this movie's been in theaters for 2 weeks, and it's the 23rd highest grossing film worldwide already. Yeah. So, ever. And it's going to just keep making money. But,
I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
So, yeah, what I mean when I say that it's the best Star Wars movie we're going to get, and I thought about this a lot, because I walked out of this movie, and I thought to myself, I really loved the best parts of this movie. I didn't like the parts I didn't like. How would I fix them? I don't know. Could I have gone in and suggested things like discernible changes that would have made this better? No, I wouldn't know how to make it better. And I'm somebody who loves Star Wars. I'm a huge fan, but I'm not a fanboy of Star Wars. To be a Star Wars fanboy, you have to be like a whole other level. And
we both are not anywhere near that.
No, I mean, I've seen every movie a bunch of times. I love Star Wars. I grew up loving it, but it's just not the same. But the expectation attached to one of these movies, there's only a few franchises, there's only a few types of movies that have so much fan appreciation that the whole world's going to sound off an opinion, right? Yeah. We'll have this kind of reaction when Infinity War comes out. It'll happen the next time a DCEU movie comes out. Like, so, superheroes, Harry Potter. It's basically stuff in the Inner Geekdom League. That's like what you were talking about. There is so much expectation attached to a Star Wars movie. It's impossible for it at this point to satisfy all the fans. And now we're not in the same position we were in 1999, where we had 3 Star Wars movies from 77 to 99.
Right.
We're now at a point where we had 3 kind of failed movies, and now we've had 3 more movies, and now we're used to it. There's a little bit of market saturation. There's some fatigue. People who were excited for The Force Awakens, they may or may not go see Solo. They probably won't go see Episode 9.
Yeah.
The people that don't care, they probably won't bother, because at that point, we're talking about a 5th Star Wars movie in 5 years. So what I believe is going to happen, and we'll get into this in just a second, but I don't think they're going to be able to make a movie that satisfies people, anyone, fan or critic, over 90% until they literally end what they're doing, take at least a year off, and come out with something fresh. I don't think Episode 9 is going to be better. We might like it more. But I think best case scenario, it's like a 72% worldwide, like on average. Like I think that's like the best we're gonna get. And I don't think so. Let's get into our 90-second pitches about what's gonna happen with Star Wars, because I see the writing on the wall and I'm worried.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like you to go first on this, because I just can't.
Yeah, I'm gonna pitch my 90-second version of Star Wars. We're gonna talk about the whole conversation here, guys. If you want to be a part of this, is where is Star Wars gonna be in 5 years? You have 90 seconds or less. And Steven, anytime you can throw up a timer for me, any chance?
Sorry, what?
Any chance you could like throw a timer up on the screen so we can keep track of this? I just don't want to run out of time or go over. So here we go. All right, in 90 seconds or less, this is what's going to happen to Star Wars. 3, 2, go.
Sorry. How? I have like 3 people talking to me in here,
No,
guys.
that's all right. I got
I'm sorry.
one. No, don't worry about it.
How long do you want the timer for?
I got one going right here. So
Okay.
90 seconds in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. We have not seen any footage of the Solo movie. Lord Miller were fired, replaced by Ron Howard, who reshot the majority of the movie. Now, that could be one of the reasons. I think it's bizarre that the Christmas season happened. We saw blockbuster trailers and a Star Wars movie, and we didn't even see a silhouette of Han Solo trailer. We saw literally nothing. I'm worried about the Solo movie. We're going to have Episode 9, which might be, best case scenario, decent. But 3 years after that, we're going to have Episode 9, we're going to have another standalone, Boba Fett, we'll have the first installment in another trilogy, and then we'll have another standalone movie, which is probably going to be, I think, the Obi-Wan Kenobi Solo movie. The likelihood of even 2 of those movies being bad is pretty high. I don't expect they're going to continue to be able to take this subject matter, take this universe, and just make it great. I think fan expectation is through the roof, and fatigue is already setting in. Those of us that love Star Wars will see every movie. We'll talk about them at length. People will watch them. Eight Harry Potter movies, 8 years almost in a row, didn't stop people from seeing Harry Potter. But again, that was a single story. There was a book series. They literally ended this movie. Rian Johnson in interviews has said, I did this movie like they're going to just do what they do. I didn't make this movie knowing what had happened in the first movie. Like each one of these directors is coming in, they're taking what happened in the previous film, at least publicly they're saying they are making their own story. That story is continuing into the next film. I believe that 5 years from now, Star Wars is going to have to look at themselves in the mirror and say, we're oversaturating this brand. We may make money, but the brand quality is dying, and we need to take at least a year off to generate buzz again. That's my theory.
That was pretty good. That was almost perfectly a minute and a half.
Yeah.
I feel like mine's not going to be not that well thought out. It's going to be more of a rant, but I'm going to start. So where do I think this franchise is going to be in 5 years? I think that it's going to be sitting there wondering where it went wrong, and it's not going to come back for at least another 10 on, like, in the sense of it being actually good films. You might talk about the Boba Fett and the Han Solo movie, but look, Marvel did this thing where it got really close to oversaturating itself. It did oversaturate itself, but then it rebranded itself, started doing things a little bit differently with Logan and Deadpool, and movies kind of changed a little bit, and with Thor. So you look at Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and it kind of tried to do the Thor thing to Star Wars, kind of with the weird humor, changing things up a little bit. It didn't work because the fans are expecting too much, like you said. So I think, honestly, where this franchise is going to be is all these movies are going to come out. They're all going to make a good amount of money because they have to, because what do Star Wars fans love? They love going and watching Star Wars movies and then shitting on them. And I will always pay as a Star Wars fan to go watch a movie 5 times in theaters so I can tell you exactly how well I know how bad it is. So where do I think it's going to be in 5 years? I think it's going to be dead. I think that it's going to be sitting there. People are going to go back to the true Star Wars fans. They're going to try to, like, tell their kids about it, and maybe in 10 or 15 or 20 years, we might get another reboot or installment that could maybe stick around. But unfortunately, with this and where we are, I honestly don't understand how it happened. It seems like exactly what you would want as a Star Wars fan.
Oh, yeah. It's basically 3 hits in a row.
Exactly. And so for me, if this isn't good enough for you, in 5 years, you don't deserve more movies. You don't deserve people to be sitting there spending time and putting all their heart into this, putting good directors like Rian Johnson wasting their career on this. I went over a second.
It's okay.
Do I have to go again?
No.
I'll go again. Look, the problem
Yeah, I think we're both in the same boat, which is that I can't imagine 5 years from now them going with the schedule that they are going with and these movies still representing the same brand quality that they do now. I think that it should be considered more shocking than it is to either of us that in 5 years or 6 years they would take a year or 2 or 5 or 10 off. Because now Disney owns this and it's such a money-making machine, it's hard to imagine them with the opportunity to release a Star Wars movie every year not doing it.
Of course. And like I just said, if they released a Star Wars movie every year from now until, 2018, until 2025,
yeah,
they would all make $1 billion. Every year, I bet you they would.
Yeah.
If there was every Christmas a new Star Wars movie came out, but they'd...
maybe in 8 years, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I know, but you even say in 8 years.
It's crazy.
8 more of them would have to come out for them to finally be like, all right.
So now we've talked a little bit about what we think the future of this franchise is going to look like. Sound off, guys, in the comments. As we said, leaving comments here on the Facebook page, like, subscribe, all those things. That's great. It's very helpful. If you want to post something longer that'll stay around, it's a little more permanent and interactive, go and like the Facebook fan page, the Action Movie Anatomy Facebook fan page. You can share your thoughts there on this, and we can continue to have that discussion. But
hold on. So to put a bow on what we're saying,
yeah,
what do we think should be done?
Oh, I think that they should... God, I don't even know, because just 6 more Star Wars movies already, like 7 more really, if they're gonna make Episode 9, 3 solo movies, and then three standalone movies, and then another trilogy, because Rian Johnson's already signed on for the trilogy. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine a world that 7 more Star Wars movies doesn't feel like I just am sick of it. I just can't imagine it. I can't see 7 years from now having seen 7 more Star Wars movies and feeling like this just became the same tired thing that every other movie franchise is.
Yeah.
It's not like Fast and the Furious where I'm like, take it or leave it. Make the 8th movie.
It's perfect?
Yeah. No. They'll make a 9th movie and it'll be like, all right, fine.
All right, I'll go see it. Who cares? Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is that we care so much about Star Wars that it hurts us when bad movies come out, unlike Fast and Furious. And really quickly, someone just pointed out, Richard, there's 70+ people watching right now. So we really appreciate you guys being live with us. And we figured that since Star Wars has so much to talk about, there'd be a lot of people. And again, guys, we love fans. We love people that watch movies. We are those people. So yeah, find the Facebook fan page. I would love to keep this conversation going, but unfortunately we can't forever
because we're going to run out of time. So we're going to get into the next part of the show, which is Fist Bump Moment. This is where we talk about all the bad things about this movie. Now we're going to talk about the awesome shit. When you're watching the movie, something happens, you look around, you're like, are you seeing this right now? This is so incredible. incredible. I get to watch the rest of this movie. And this movie definitely had some fist bumps.
Oh my God, there's so many of them.
Jaw droppers, like shit that I was just like, oh, this is why.
Yeah.
This is why this guy's a genius director, and he got to do what he wanted, and like the cool shit was so cool.
So yeah, I had this moment where I was watching this movie. I was like, wow, movies are magic. And then I had another really cool moment. This is a little bit of a tangent, but I went and saw a musical, a play in Utah, Aida. It was very good.
Yeah.
And then like 4 hours later, or the next day, I can't remember, I went and saw The Greatest Showman in theaters.
Okay.
And it just reminded me that, like, look, theater is amazing and magic can happen there, but movies are truly magical. And there's things that you just can't, they can only happen in movies. And there were so many of those moments in this film that were just so beautiful that you sat there and you kind of had to sit back and just be like, wow, movies really are just moving art. And I know that your fist pump is literal moving art, so I want you to go first.
Yeah, I've seen this movie twice.
One and a half times.
Full disclosure. First time I saw this movie, it was with one of my employers. They took all of us that work for the company to go see it. And my boss there is like the biggest Star Wars fan. The biggest. He's like, he loves it more than anything. He was wearing the full outfit, all, like, he's seen every movie. Who are you
talking about?
Kessler.
Yeah, Kess. I thought so.
Yeah, he's my co-host on a magic podcast I do.
He's been on the show a couple times.
Yeah, he did New Hope with us on here. He saw Force Awakens 7 times in theaters. I mean, he's probably already seen this movie 6 times. So,
wait, what did he think?
He loved it.
He's like one of the first true diehard fanboys that I've talked to that just loved it.
Well, Knapsack loved it, and I think
talked to
Roka and Riley, they all loved it.
Who the fuck is Roka?
Yeah. Your father.
Ah!
So when I saw this movie the first time, I had several drinks, and it was a late show. It was like 11 p.m.
Yep.
And I fell asleep for a chunk of the movie. But I was doing the thing where I was so tired, I was fighting the sleep.
Right.
And the whole time you keep kind of moving your body around trying to stay awake. By the end of it, I was like, okay, I must have missed like 20.
That guy's gyrating.
Yeah.
He loves this movie.
It was so uncomfortable. I was like, I must have missed 20, 25 minutes of the movie. And afterwards, I'm talking to Roxy, and she's like, well, what'd you think about, like Finn and Rose? And I was like, well, they're clearly, pushing some romance,
some sexual tension there
from for them later. And she was like, do you mean because they kissed? I was like, right. I didn't remember that happened. And then the other part, and this leads directly into my thesis, is I was like, I really thought they could have done more with Laura Dern's character. I mean, after Poe says to her, I got this, go put her in shackles, we don't even hear from her again. And she's like, really?
Really?
You don't hear from her again? Because my fist bump moment when I watched it again is when she flies the ship at light speed through the dreadnought, or the ship, or whatever it is, the Star Destroyer, and she blows it up, and it goes black and white, and the screen goes silent, and it's just so cool. It was so dramatic and beautiful looking, and it was my favorite moment in the whole movie.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it goes black and white. It's just beautiful. So that was my moment. But it kind of got ruined for me. And I'll tell you why. Because she goes into light speed and cuts the ship in half, and it all goes black and white and silent. And this fucking guy is like, where's the sound? Where's the sound go? Like, yelling in that moment. I don't even know how he had the wherewithal to start yelling that quickly, because it happens for like 2 seconds.
The 2 little kids that were sitting behind me last night started laughing. I was so angry.
I was angry.
Yeah.
Like, it took me a minute because I was like, I can't have that moment back.
Yeah.
I mean, I will. But I couldn't have that moment
found
back.
them in the parking lot.
I found that moment.
And I got it back.
And I got it back. My fist pump was finding him in the parking lot. Oh, God. So my fist pump moment was that. But my other fist pump, it was kind of a slow burn, because I think we all saw it coming.
Yeah.
But it was when he was like, turn the lightsaber, and
Yeah.
turns it on. I was like, oh my God, he's going to cut him in half. Oh my God, he's going to cut him in half. Like, this is the way it's going to happen. And
Yeah.
for me, I don't know if I'm just dumb.
Yeah.
But like, I liked the idea of him thinking the same thoughts he would have to think to kill Daisy, as opposed to killing Snoke.
Right.
Whereas other people were like, he saw his thoughts, he should be able to tell it wasn't him, or it was him. And like, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I definitely see it, but like, I liked that personally.
I thought it was awesome.
So I just loved when it turned on and his eyes go wide. And then I also love that it cuts him in half.
Yeah.
And his body falls off.
Totally.
So like, I don't know. Snoke is so evil, and there's a huge discussion going on about whether or not he's actually dead, and whether killing him in this movie is a big detriment to the franchise. I don't know about all that.
It was one of my complaints. I definitely think that one of the things that makes the original trilogy so strong, Vader and the Emperor, they're both there until the end, and they're both very evil, and they both get great victories all throughout. Vader kills Obi-Wan in the first movie. He cuts off Luke's hand in the second movie. The Emperor is like never ever gets outsmarted. He always is like
just the evilest,
and he's just keeping going. And then in the third movie, he's got the best scenes in the whole movie. His whole sequence with Luke is so good.
Yeah.
The fact that it's Vader that has to kill him and then Luke saves Vader is one of the things that makes it so great. The fact that Kylo is like fine, but he's not really a villain.
Well, because the thing about what's so great about the movies is it's the same as Lord of the Rings. All these great epics is just good versus evil, right? And Kylo is not pure enough evil for us to really buy it. No matter what you tell us, we will always believe that Kylo is not evil enough as the Emperor was.
Well, right, but it's like
Snoke was.
It's weird because like Vader wasn't pure evil either.
That's a good argument,
right? But what I think the problem with Snoke is, or with Kylo, is that it's that whole like Adam Driver is this kind of like annoying emo kid.
Yeah.
And he's really good in the role. I like him. One of the few people that doesn't really have a problem with him in the role. I actually think it was really smart that they got rid of the helmet. I loved that scene. He's like, you're just a boy in a mask.
Yeah.
And he smashes the helmet. I thought that was awesome. And I think he's great. And I loved all his stuff with Rey. Like all the telepathic communication was fantastic. But killing Snoke kind of leaves me thinking like, I don't really know who the bad guy is anymore. I'm not really gonna be that satisfied if Kylo. He's already killed his dad. Like he's done evil things.
He's done the worst thing. Or if like there's an army of Wrens, or people talk about Snoke being a vision, just like Luke was, which I think would be a huge cop out. Anyway, all that aside, I loved when he died. I really do. I don't think that
It's a great moment.
I'm kind of bummed that he died.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can figure out some way to bring it together in Episode 9. And I like Kylo. I just don't feel he's truly evil. But yeah, I loved when Snoke died. I fist pumped. We all cheered in the theater. Like it was awesome.
It was great.
Yeah.
Steven, quick question for you.
He's dead.
Yes.
Any chance we could turn on the AC?
Oh, Ben, what's wrong? Are you a little warm?
It's a little warm.
We only have enough fuel for one more jump to the AC.
Thank you, Steven. Very
Use
good.
it wisely.
What's that a reference to?
I don't know.
All right, so that's Fist Bump Moment. We're going to get a little bit into star profiles and production development, guys. So, first and foremost, Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley. They're, in theory, the stars, even though, Carrie Fisher and
Hamill
are billed at the top. Adam Driver, interesting career.
Yeah.
Broke out doing Girls originally. That's how he was discovered. And then Kylo's is obviously his big break to the forefront.
Yeah, he did Logan Lucky this year. Last year he did Silence, and he also did Patterson, which I heard Patterson was really good.
Truthfully, I've actually heard all three of these movies are pretty good.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any of them.
Me neither. I was supposed to watch Logan Lucky with my family this last trip I was there, but something came up.
All three of these are streaming right now on American Airlines. And I haven't watched any of them, and I have to fly on American all the time. So I probably will watch all of these at some point in the next couple months, I would guess.
Yeah, and for people that have seen them, guys, like, what do y'all think? What do y'all think about all those movies? My family loved Logan Lucky. So to go to Daisy Ridley's career, she did Scrawl in 2015, which I only know about because it was like, who's Daisy Ridley? And I went and did the research after Force Awakens came out, which was in 2015. And then the only other real thing that she's done was Murder on the Orient Express, which I liked.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty good.
I don't know. Again, it's one of those movies where I'm kind of surprised why it did so poorly. I don't know the original novel that well, and I like the ensemble cast. I thought she did a fine job.
Yeah, the original movie was very successful too. It was originally. It's one of those movies that you'd expect, and I heard from people whose opinions I respect. Because I don't respect yours.
Yeah, I know. I figured we were getting there. So my question is, why don't you respect my opinion? We've been doing this show now. Someone mentioned it a little bit, and I could actually pull it up here, but it was basically like, where do you think Daisy Ridley's stardom is going to be? Is she going to be Daniel Radcliffe after Harry Potter and kind of fall as a B-lister? Do you think she's going to be an A-lister that's going to be on top of her, Hollywood for the next forever? Or what do you think? Or does she just kind of disappear?
Well, I think she's definitely in a position where she'll never have to struggle for notoriety or to get roles if she wants them.
Yeah.
It's not the same world that it was years ago, where like Mark Hamill was a star and he kind of only was able to do the things like it's just not the same world. Her brand recognition is so crazy right now. Star Wars is worth so much money. It's such a big deal.
Here it was really quickly. Neil Gross said, "Will she become a Harrison Ford level superstar, a mid-level star like Daniel Radcliffe, or will she have limited success outside of Star Wars?" So thank you, Neil Gross. I've never seen you before in the chat, so
Welcome to the show.
yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think Daisy Ridley's pretty good.
I do too.
I
And
like her.
think she's pretty.
I think she's pretty, and I also think she's like approachably pretty. She's like got a good kind of like fit chick thing going on, which is cool. I mean, I
Yeah.
know she was up to play Tomb Raider. Her and Alicia Vikander were up against each other for that role. I believe there's probably another franchise for her somewhere. How talented of an actress she is, like, for instance, does she have the ability to go from Katniss Everdeen to winning an Oscar? Like that's kind of the
Right.
comp, I guess, because Jennifer Lawrence had like a similar thing going on. I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting because she does seem so much more passive or like more. She just hasn't broken out of her shell as much as Jennifer Lawrence has.
It's also just like Star Wars is a very, very difficult franchise to escape from and do other movies.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I do not believe that her or Boyega will be on the level of Harrison Ford. I don't think so. I think that of anyone in this movie to do it, it's probably Adam Driver at this point because Oscar Isaac has kind of had his chance, it seemed like, over the last few years. I mean, he's done great. He really is, but he's not that same level of Harrison Ford. You know what I mean? Like, even in Ex Machina,
Yeah.
it's not an Oscar Isaac movie. It's just a great movie.
It's a good point. He's like as elevated of like a. It's like an elevated of like a supporting leading man as it gets.
Yeah, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be massive and always will be. I think he's got an incredible career.
Yeah.
I just don't think that he'll be that guy. I could be wrong.
I might disagree with you on that one. I think
Yeah.
I think of all the guys that I can think of, he's been in so many things the last few years. I wouldn't be surprised if that guy wins an Oscar in 4 years.
I think he could win an Oscar in 4 years too, but I think it'll be for supporting, and I think that he'll just kind
Yeah.
of always be that guy.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
So, other people that we would just really quickly talk about in production here. If I can talk, Kelly Marie Tran did not tell anyone that she was doing a new movie and lied she was doing an indie film in Canada. At one point, she got some maple syrup to bring back to her parents so that she'd believe she was actually in Canada. Kelly Marie Tran really bursting out on the scene. I thought she did a good job. Did you connect with Rose, or did you kind of feel like?
I thought she was great. So I know Kelly a little bit. I met her years ago. Like
She did improv?
yeah,
Yeah.
She was a girl who was in our local group. She was
Yeah.
friends with Charlie and Johnny and all those guys. I think I met her at 2 parties maybe, or 1 party or something like that. But I mean, I would see her stuff on social. She did sketches with a friend of mine named Christina a lot, and she'd pop up, and I remember seeing her and being like, oh, like this girl's funny.
Right.
And then when she was announced as in this movie, they were, I guess, already shooting and they already shot because she hadn't told anyone. But I just remember being like, what?
I remember you telling me that actually when it got posted. You were like, we know her, or I know her.
I was just
Yeah.
like, really? Like that's because she was effectively a nobody. She had basically done nothing.
Yeah, and I thought she did a great job as Rose. I
Yeah.
just don't know if I loved the character of Rose.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just hard to like latch on to new people 8 episodes later. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure. My biggest problem with her arc in the movie was that I think, in a lot of ways, I think that Rian Johnson didn't really know what to do with Finn's character.
Someone said Oscar Isaac, Jeremy Renner. I think that's a good comparison. Who he does kind of become like Wind River's a pretty big example.
Well, and he's Hawkeye. I think it's
Right, but he's Hawkeye. He's not
Well,
Captain
and he's-
America.
Yeah, and he's
you know what I mean?
Poe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
What was I just saying? Oh yeah, Finn. I think Rian Johnson didn't exactly know. I think he knew that he wanted to do something with Finn because it was a continuation of the first story and he had to use the character, but it didn't really seem like he had wasn't excited about Finn as a character. Because what ended up ultimately happening is that Finn goes on this run with Rose and they kind of have their little romance moment. But when you really realize it, it's like Rose could have found a droid and done the whole thing without Finn, and Finn could have done the whole thing without Rose. It didn't really matter. Like
right.
It was kind of like and even his fight with Phasma, like the stuff. I don't know. I just, in a lot of ways, his arc, this movie felt sort of irrelevant to me. And I think about this movie being over 2.5 hours long. And if this movie had been 20 minutes shorter, I think you probably could have ditched most of his storyline.
Yeah, I actually felt like this movie did a pretty big disservice to Poe. I mean, not Poe, to Boyega. I feel like it took away a lot of why I liked that character.
Yeah, he was good in the first movie. He was
Yeah.
like very entertaining.
Yeah, and he was like, he was just like a good kid trying his best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this, he just felt like it was very secondary to me.
Well, yeah, just all that it made you feel like the whole time was like Rey is infinitely more important. Yeah. Finn's not very important. And that when they end the movie, when she meets Poe, you're like, well, Poe's really important. And now Rey met Poe, so now Finn's not needed anymore.
Right, and I liked the idea of like Finn and Rey. I love that.
Yeah, 'cause
I really wanted that.
She's like a Jedi Master. He's just like a regular ass dude.
right, but he's like a
Yeah.
regular ass dude that will work so hard,
Yeah.
like Han Solo.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
So,
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting.
so
In fact, I do want to point out that was probably my biggest problem sequence with the whole movie was the casino planet, all the stuff with Benicio, them staving the horse thing, like when they set the thing free and it's like, now we've done our, we've brought back hope. I just thought that whole part of the movie was like, this just didn't need to be here.
yeah, was it the Broom Boy thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting because Benicio was like,
I like this stutter.
I like said it was good. It was really supposed to be played by Joaquin Phoenix, which
Yeah.
I think is interesting. Joaquin's such a weird dude.
Totally.
I would love to see him in more movies.
Love Joaquin.
I love him. So you pull this here. The original cut of this film,
It was over 3 hours long.
yeah, and he cut about 45 to 60 minutes to get the film down. We've done this before on the show where we talk about movies that are like that 3 to 4 hours long. You're just like, what could you have possibly done to make it better? Like Troy?
Yeah.
Like, really, would another hour made it better?
He has there's whole storylines that got cut apparently. So the Blu-ray is going to have like another hour of movie on it.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Just really quickly, we all, well, you're medium on the Porgs, but the Porgs were puffins. I don't know if you guys saw this article. It's been online. They were just puffins all over this island.
It's like an endangered species, so they couldn't get rid of them, so they had to go CGI alter the puffins to turn them into porgs. I'm okay with the porgs.
I'm okay with the Porgs.
They were all right. They didn't really take away. They were barely in the movie.
Would you rather they killed all the puffins?
No. The one porg thing that was like annoying, that like the only moment that felt like they were Ewoks was when they go in the Falcon.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like playing, and he's wearing like this. And you're like, all right, this is like basically just old Star Wars for little kids. But
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
that's fine. It was like literally an insert.
So getting into production development, we talked about it a little bit at the top of the show. We're not going to talk extensively about it, but I know there's a few things you want to talk about, especially Ron Bergman.
Well, it's Rom Bergman.
Ron Burgundy? Rom Bergman.
Yeah, we said Kathleen Kennedy's name before. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy's a boss. She's married to Frank Marshall. She's the main producer on this movie.
One of the
and
biggest producers ever.
ever. Yeah, she's 60 movies, 120 Academy Award nominations. She's like huge
$11
stuff.
billion.
Yeah, I mean, she's the president of Lucasfilm. So she's the biggest. She's as big as it gets. Ron Bergman, on the other hand, you would look at the fact that there are two major names listed as producers, and you'd be like, oh, well, he must be. He's one of those guys. You're gonna look, and it's gonna have
Right,
19
he's the Bruce
huge.
Bermans of the world.
He's not. He's just the guy that produces Rian Johnson's movies. They met, and the first movie they worked on was Brick, and Brick was a success. And when you read conversations and articles with Rom, he talks about at the premiere for Brick, he knew that Rian Johnson was going to be a star. He knew this guy was going to do big things because, Deadline did this great interview with him where they're like, would you have ever expected you would be producing a Star Wars movie? And he's like, no, but when we did Brick, I knew it was going to be a big deal. And so he produced Brick, Brothers Bloom, Looper,
Right.
and then when they hired Rian Johnson, they hired Ron Bergman on this movie, and he's the other producer. And it's just crazy. Like when you look at his filmography, the only relevant movies he's ever produced, other than the 4 things he's done with Rian Johnson, were Don John and Selfless, that movie from a couple years ago.
Oh yeah,
The Ben Kingsley one.
yeah.
That's it. Otherwise, he did like a bunch of indies. He's done like all these indie movies. You've probably heard of like 2. I had seen like one of them.
Good on him, dude. I mean, he saw someone that he recognized talent, and he's like, this guy's going to be somebody. I'm going to stick with him. And that talent was Rian Johnson, who we've covered on the show. We covered when we talked about Looper. I love the dude. I really do. And I think that he is a visionary. I think that he's a great storyteller. And I think that he got one of the hardest thing to deal with.
Yeah.
Which is Star Wars. And I think that he like mostly understands it.
Well, I also think it's pretty interesting that they offered him episode 9 based on early cuts of this film they watched. The executives, the board at Disney, they all watched it, and they were like, oh yeah, do you want to do 9? And he was like, nope. And they were like, well, if you don't want to do 9, why don't we just give you your own trilogy? And he was like, okay, sure.
Sure.
So I think he's gonna direct one, probably produce the others, and it's not gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be a Skywalker trilogy. I think it's gonna be all new characters. Maybe that's the only hope we have, that this will be awesome.
And it could be, because we all know that when Rian Johnson gets to deal with his own things, create his own world, and tell his own story, I think he does a phenomenal job. But we'll see what happens. So let's get into the numbers, because this is a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, I do want to make sure. Hey, Steven, are you up there in heaven?
I'm here.
Do we have a hard out right at 3, or do we have a few minutes?
No, you got a soft out.
Okay, great.
Oh, nice. Excellent. So really quickly to get through this was produced by Buena Vista for $200 million to make. It was released December 15th of this last year. It grossed 531 domestically, 523 worldwide, for a grand total of $1.054 billion.
And it should be noted that a movie like this, it may have cost $200 to make. I'll bet you it cost another $300 to market.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, when I saw the 200, I was like, that's incredibly low. And it opened at $221 million. At number 1. Who would have thought? IMDb gave this a 7.7, which dropped to a 7.6 over the last couple weeks. Same with Rotten Tomatoes. I believe it was 92, 96, and 52. It is now 91 by all critics, 96 by top, and a bewildering 50% by the audience. Ben, you had a great conversation when we were on the phone last night about what you thought this meant about blockbusters.
Well, yeah, I think that the big conversation here, guys, is that if you go and you look at the top 25 highest grossing films worldwide of all time, you'll see that every one of those movies has made at least $1.1 billion. Okay? All of them. No, I'm sorry, over $1 billion. All of them are over $1 billion.
Yeah.
If you look at those movies, you ask yourself the question, do movies that make $1 billion, does that constitute a good movie? Are they quality movies? So that's what we're going to do. I'm gonna
also, when's the last time a Best Picture winner was in here?
The last time?
Yeah, ever?
Titanic.
Titanic, right?
That won
That's
Best
it.
Picture. I think that's probably the only time that's ever happened.
Return of the King?
Yes, Return of the King won Best Picture also.
Okay, so
talking about the highest grossing films of all time, are they good movies or are they bad movies? I think probably the easiest way to do this, and let's err on the side of good being 60% or better in your mind.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm just going to go one at a time. You're going to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We're going to see what we come up with here.
All right, guys. So these are the top 25 grossing movies worldwide, all time.
All time.
We're talking about whether they're good or not.
Yep. Despicable Me 3, 60% or better.
I have not seen it. I would say it's probably better.
Yeah, I think those movies are all pretty solid. It's pretty hard to mess those ones up. So we'll give that one a pass.
Yep.
Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides.
Way below.
Okay.
Yep.
Rogue One.
Above.
Solid. Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest.
Below.
Okay. Toy Story 3.
Above.
Classic.
Yeah.
Last Jedi.
Above.
Dark Knight.
Above.
Great.
No,
okay,
no,
so-
that's Dark Knight Rises. Above still.
Yep, definitely. Transformers Age of Extinction.
So far below.
Yeah. Skyfall.
We were gonna do it on the show and we decided not to. Oh no, that was Spectre. We might do Skyfall.
Skyfall's above average.
Yeah, it's above average. Yeah.
Return of the King.
Definitely.
Dark of the Moon.
No.
Civil War.
Definitely.
Minions.
It's got to be. Minions has to be.
Yeah, these ones are debatable. We'll go
Yeah.
with Iron Man 3.
God no.
I like Iron Man 3.
Really?
It's 60% or better. I like that movie.
All right.
I'll give it Fate of the Furious.
Guys, what do you think about Iron Man 3? Fate of the Furious.
No. It's the last one.
Yeah, no,
It was
horrible.
terrible.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast. I liked it.
Okay, I'll give it to
Recently?
you.
Frozen.
Definitely.
Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Never saw it.
I saw it. It's good.
Okay.
This is better than I thought.
Yeah.
Age of Ultron.
I like Age of Ultron. I know I'm in the major minority of that.
Yeah, I think
Most people would say no.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Furious 7. It's right on the line.
Right on the cusp.
Yeah, we'll give that. We've been generous with the animated, so we'll go under on Furious 7.
Okay, that's fair. Yep.
The Avengers.
You like that. People love that movie.
Yeah, the Avengers is great.
I don't know.
Jurassic World.
I mean, it's 60. That's the thing is we're doing this at 60. So, like, that's a D, which doesn't even get you a grade anymore.
I'd
that doesn't
go
get you
under on Jurassic World. Looking at all these movies, I
Okay,
thought
under.
I would have thought I was going to go over, but like,
A lot of people love Iron Man 3.
yeah,
Except for one person.
that movie's good. Force Awakens.
Yeah, definitely.
Titanic.
Yeah.
Avatar. 60%.
No. In theaters, yes. But outside of it, no.
Fair. Okay.
So, like, going back through this, you guys will see that most of those movies are pretty good.
That's
A
like
60%.
60% or better. Looks like we have almost a 75%, like almost 78% of these. I was surprised. I expected we were going to find like 5 good movies.
Me too. But But the thing is these are good movies.
Now look at the list again and tell me if you were going to say, let's say classics, like 90% or better.
How many of these deserve to be in the top 250?
Yeah, I think the answer there is probably. Like,
I mean,
I would just offhandedly, without going through the whole list again, I would
Yeah.
guess probably 5.
yeah, I'd probably guess 5. Maybe Toy Story, the Star Wars movies, and Dark Knight.
Yeah, and Titanic.
And Titanic, yeah.
Titanic, Dark Knight, Toy Story 3.
Oh, and Return of the King. So maybe 6 or 7 movies out of the last 25 movies from the was 1997 is the oldest one in Titanic.
I wouldn't put any of these Star Wars movies in the top 250. They're like all 3 of them are like significantly above average, pretty awesome. I loved them.
Okay, so maybe one, just to give it, maybe.
Maybe Last Jedi.
So then there's 5 movies essentially.
Yeah, I would say like in terms of all-time relevance, like movies that have like will stand the test of time based on more than just the franchise name. Titanic, Toy Story 3, Return of the King,
And Dark Knight is
Yeah.
not even on there. Dark Knight's not even on there.
I think it is.
No, it's not.
It's really not.
It's just Rises is on there.
Crazy.
Which is even better. Honestly, we could have just had the whole conversation right there. The Dark Knight Rises is on there and Dark Knight is not.
Yeah, it's fair.
So guys, basically what we're trying to say is that movies that make a ton of money now are good enough.
Good enough. Yes.
enough.
Yeah, exactly. Making $1 billion is not an indicator of being an all-time movie. So let's get into favorite line before we answer a couple of your questions.
I have a great line.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
And it's actually said by our girl, Kelly Marie.
I'll bet you it's the same line.
I bet you it's the same line.
Gotta
What's
be.
your line?
It's we're not going to win this war by fighting what we hate, but it'll be by saving what we love.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the best line in the movie.
It's the best line in the movie.
That one, and then Yoda's got a really good line too. He says it's something. It's like it is in the nature of students to outgrow their master or something. I
yeah.
can't remember the exact line because it's said by Yoda.
So it's backwards?
Yeah, something in that realm though.
Masters become students, they do.
Yeah.
That's funny. Of course we had the same
line.
same line.
It's a really good line.
So Sean Smith here. Is Luke Skywalker the biggest career-defining role of all time? I know he has been a successful voice actor, but I don't think most people would know Mark Hamill for his roles outside of Star Wars. I'm going to immediately jump in and say I believe so. I believe that Luke Skywalker is the most career-defining role of all time. It has made Mark Hamill a legend. It is. And because he's been a voice actor, but more than anything, it's just the fact that this dude can basically not be on camera for 40 years, come back out of nowhere, and something inside of you, like, gets real excited to see this character again.
I would agree. Yeah, I think Luke Skywalker is the most career-defining role ever.
Leia might be the other one. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, maybe. I wonder like how many roles there really are all time where somebody has just like reprised it so many times. It's been so referenced for so long. But then also that actor didn't do enough to ever really like Harrison Ford's great, but he's done enough big roles that it doesn't feel like he's just defined by one.
And you can always if there's any person you can have a conversation, is it this or this? And Harrison Ford, we've done it many times. Is it Han Solo or is it Indy?
Yeah, we've done that before. Yeah, I don't think there's really anybody that could even compete honestly with Hamill for that conversation. Before we just get into the end of the show here, because I do think that you and I have missed one thing that I know we both wanted to talk about. I do really want to talk about the Kylo Luke battle. I know you and I do this sometimes. We get so wrapped up in the outline, we just forget to talk about things. And it was the best. I think it's the best part of the whole movie. So like, I think it's worth talking about.
You think that's the best part?
I think their showdown's the coolest part of the movie. Yeah, I think the red, like the salt and like the red. And the fact that did you get tricked by it? I totally got tricked by it.
I did. I wanted him to kill. I wanted him to have an Obi-Wan moment. I wanted Kylo to have an Obi-Wan moment with.
Well, he tries to. He thinks he kills him.
I know, but that's what I mean. Is I wanted him to actually, instead of dying on the rock, back home.
Now he becomes a Force ghost looking at a binary moon.
Don't like it. What was your question?
I just wanted to talk about
fight.
that scene.
The fight was. It was what you wanted.
Yeah.
You got it. Like you got the sweet battle scene in the room in Snoke's room chamber, which was
great.
like all the lightsabers that you've been waiting for, and then of course you get Luke versus Kylo. I just wish that was like. As stupid as it sounds, I wanted like a Yoda versus Dooku moment where it was just like all out warfare.
Crazy.
Yeah.
We'll get that with Rey and Kylo probably in the third movie.
Probably.
I just think like I just loved like the good parts about the way
shot.
It looks
Like
so
the
beautiful.
wide shot of
the
them
walkers and like the background
and the colors of the lightsaber. Beautiful. Yeah.
The way that Rian Johnson designed it to be like an Old West showdown, I think was really cool. It felt very much like watching like the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that was like really cool to me that he he took something that didn't feel familiar from like an old Star Wars movie and he framed it in a different way. It has its own unique feel. And I think that's one of the things that's very strong about that scene. But I also love the way that he uses like Luke being kind of like sarcastic. I love that he does the thing with the shoulder.
Yeah.
And then at the end, see you around, kid. And he walks off. That was fucking
that
awesome.
was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I almost wanted Boyega to die.
Yeah, it would have been good.
That would have been sweet,
It would have been
right?
sweet, yeah.
Right?
Well, like the one thing I thought about this movie was just like it's Star Wars, so it doesn't get to be quite as, and it's Disney Star Wars now.
So it can't be super dark.
Well, yeah, like I was thinking if there had been like some really dramatic death scene, you know, like the death of Gandalf in Lord of the Rings and the death of Boromir are both in Fellowship. They're both such heartbreaking, great
amazing.
scenes. They're so sad, and the weight is so great. I felt like a scene like that was we should have had one.
Oh, you know what? There's one more other moment we need to talk about, and that's the
Leia. Yeah, I was hoping we weren't going to talk about it. I get it. Like, I read everything about it. It felt like that old the Fat Boy Slim video with Christopher Walken flying.
Go watch that video now if you haven't seen it. That's great. Right? I just want to leave it at that.
Look,
Yeah.
R.I.P. All the respect in the world to Carrie Fisher.
Yes.
I was very happy to see her come back. It was nice to have the callbacks to the old movies. She didn't work for me. It didn't resonate for me.
Unfortunately,
It didn't. I didn't feel it. In the first movie, it was nice to see her come back and have her there, and especially seeing Han and everything. And in one of the nicest moments of this movie, actually, I got really emotional seeing Luke and Leia talking for the first time.
yeah, that was beautiful. That was cool.
Because I forgot that they hadn't seen each other in so long, and you hadn't seen the two of them on screen in so long. So that was really emotional, just like the two of them having a moment. But aside from that, like the scenes where she's actually having scenes like with Poe, I don't know, it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, I mean, like, and again, no disrespect, Carrie Poppins, that's horrible. You guys are horrible.
Because she's flying.
Yeah, they wrote that.
I mean, look, some people love the flying.
It's just funny. No, I'm saying they said Carrie Poppins. I mean, I had more of a heart pull on my strings when I watched the Fast and Furious movie without Paul Walker in it.
Right.
And they showed him, like that type of thing. So like, I loved her being in this, and I thought that they did a great job with her. I honestly kind of wish she would have just died when that happened, though.
Well,
And I think it would have been better.
well, I think a lot of us expected that, right?
Yeah. But then we lose the part, just like if Boyega dies, you lose the moment of her and Hamill, and you
Yeah,
lose the moment
right.
of him or her and Rose, and
Yeah.
so
It was just one of those things. Like I think I'm in the minority. I've heard like a lot of people really liked her in this movie.
Yeah.
Just something about the performance didn't feel. It didn't grab me. But
yeah, and I felt the same. And someone here, Brandon, mentioned about her just being in space and not dying. I thought that too. I thought it was weird that she was out there.
I guess she creates like a bubble of air.
Yeah,
just
no,
the
I know.
force.
It's the whole thing. So,
Yeah.
a little bit of a stretch for us. There was another question asked by our friend John Tedward Coster.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. John says, "Is Kylo Ren's shirtless and high pants costume the most ridiculous villain costume in film? Could you rank the funniest, worst villain costumes in action films? I have one phrase to say for you, and it is, Officer Murtaugh, don't be foolish. Look at the hardware." Go watch that. That's the most ridiculous costume ever. I don't know. I think it's a great costume. It's hilarious. It's funny.
I mean, why not?
Yeah,
Why
it's Star
not?
Wars. You
It's
just assume
Star
what
Wars.
they all wear weird stuff, but you just like assume whatever they wear is what people wear.
It's like, what did you expect? I mean, because like, if his shirt came off and he wasn't ripped, like, what would have made it less weird?
Yeah, totally.
You
Like,
know?
if he was flabby.
If he was a little fat, if he was wearing like nipple rings, like it's the same thing as like, I don't like the comedy in the very beginning, but I don't know how to fix it.
I kind of actually, now that I think about it, wish that Adam
Did
Driver
he have nipple rings?
No, I wish that he was just like really skinny and pasty and out of shape, and they had just done that. They had basically made
Like a skeleton of a man.
like I wish they had made him basically what's the character that I'm trying to think of? Let off some steam.
Let off some steam.
Commando.
Yeah. I know exactly. You're talking.
Ellis. No, it's not Ellis.
Can't
I don't
remember his
think.
name. You talking about the guy that looks like Fat Freddie Mercury?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got
Can't remember
the
his
chainmail. Yeah. Bennett. Yeah.
Bennett.
Let off some steam.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I didn't hate it. I thought it was funny.
All right, so we're gonna get into the last couple bits of the show here. There are 3 action movie categories: totally ridiculous, totally legitimate, ridiculously legitimate. Totally ridiculous movies like Face Off, Con Air. You just like, you just laugh, you laugh, you laugh. They're totally absurd. Totally legitimate movies are gonna be like The Fugitive, I don't know, Lone Survivor, Gladiator. Yeah, they're classics, very dramatic. They don't really make you laugh at all. And then there's ridiculously legitimate, which is the middle category, which are kind of silly, but they have at least one really strong component that drives you, that holds you in the whole time, whether it's a great performance or an incredible story.
Hold on. Force Awakens?
God, I don't even know, man. Star Wars movies are just like...
I think Force Awakens for me was in the middle. And I think Rogue One was totally legit.
Rogue One was totally legit. I agree. It's darker.
Yeah.
Force Awakens was... I don't know. These are like the hardest ones we've ever...
know. It's really hard. And I think on A New Hope, I think Alex and I went totally legit, and I think you went in the middle
It
category.
was a little silly.
Yeah.
Send people always...
God, guys, what do you think in the chat? Please give us something to talk about. Yeah, throw it in the chat, guys. Ridiculous, legit, totally legit, or totally ridiculous. Where does the Last Jedi fall? I think I'm just gonna have to go in and say the middle category. I think it's the middle category for me because
What are the silly parts?
I don't even know if they're silly. I mean, like, there's just things that might not work for me. So maybe the comedy in the beginning, maybe
Yeah.
the Leia floating through space, maybe like the fact that Phasma is in the movie again for some reason just to get murdered, and like the whole showdown between her.
I'll go the middle category as well
Yeah.
because the stuff with like the casino and the horses and the parts of this movie that didn't work for me made me feel like I was watching a movie that's in the middle category. But the good parts were so awesome that there's no way it would be in the ridiculous category.
Yeah, so we've got one for totally ridiculous, one for totally legitimate, and then basically everything else is in between.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, so yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. So there's only one last thing left to do on the show this week, and that's going to be called The Pitch. I threw my sheets down.
That was good. And you made the sound.
Yeah.
Guys, we're doing The Greatest Showman. No. I'm taking over. Ah. I love that movie.
I love Jackman.
I love Jackman.
Can we just do Logan again?
God, I want to.
I watched the trailer for it yesterday, 2 days ago.
It's
Just
so good.
because the trailer deserves a goddamn Oscar. The trailer is as good or better than the movie. The
Yeah.
trailer makes me cry.
Oh, yeah, the trailer is phenomenal.
It's amazing. It's so good. All right, we have to figure out the movie to do next week, guys. So one of the things we talked about last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, is that for 2018, one of the things Andrew and I are going to be doing is expanding our rules a little bit. So we did it a little bit last year. We started to cover a few more superhero movies and
A couple more, like, dramas.
yeah, and I think this year we're going to kind of just do movies that we haven't done, that we should have talked about by now, that we think are awesome. And we're not going to really get hung up on the genres and the categories, aside from the fact that they should still be action-y.
Right. So, like, for instance, someone just threw In Bruges
Yeah, people
in
talk
there.
about
And
that a
In
lot.
Bruges is a great example of a movie that we would have never done, that we would do now. So, guys, you know us. You know
Yep.
the show.
Yep.
You know what we've covered very, very well. Go to the Action Movie Anatomy fan page. Make a new post. Someone, or honestly, one of you guys in the chat right now, Richard, hell, if Paul, one of you guys right now, make a post about all the movies, not that you wanted us to do,
Yeah.
but the movies that, like, you know we should do based off of talking to us for 2 years.
Should we do Prisoners next week?
Yeah, like Prisoners. Like, I don't think we'll do something like Boogie Nights, but like something that's close. That's close. I mean, you're sitting there shaking your head, maybe. So like, that's what we're thinking now.
Yeah, we gotta stay away from just like straight drama with like no action at all.
Yeah.
But you guys at this point who have watched the show or listened to the show for long enough know what we love. You know the actors we love. You know the actresses we love. The directors. We're gonna start covering a few more movies that we just talk about a lot that we think are awesome. When we did that episode, the 8 movies we'd love to cover that we never could.
Yeah.
At the time, we had much more specific rules. Looking back on it, it's like we could have done each of the Lord of the Rings movies. Maybe we still should. I mean, like,
Maybe we, I mean, God, I totally could. Someone said, can we get 3 shows a week? Honestly, Ben and I would love to do 3 shows a week. I don't think there's any way we possibly could, but there might be some additional content coming out where we are reviewing movies that we would never cover on the show, or talking about new movies coming out. I know there's one post that's out there about the movies that we're looking forward to the most in 2018, which I would love to talk about as well. So, guys, I think Richard just made the post, if I'm not... Oh, it's a poll. He's created a poll, so this is even better. You guys can add to the poll. He's already put In Bruges, Pearl Harbor, and Avatar on there, which is great.
I love Jarvie. He's got his like list that he wants on the show so bad.
And those movies, you know, it's like Ben would do Pearl Harbor in a heartbeat. We would do Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, go add to that poll on the Action Movie Anatomy fan page. This is exciting.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor. Hats off, Jarvie. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You guys can find me on Twitter at Ben Bateman Media.
You guys can find me everywhere at Andrew Ghai.
We'll see you same time, same place next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com.
I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.